I just ordered a Bob Seger t-shirt for 4th of July. I'm pretty happy about it.
But do you like Bob Seger? What are we doing here?
Bob Seger's the man.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
Check.
You know who he is?
No. He sings, right? He's a singer?
Yeah, he's a musician. That old-time rock and roll, Night Moves. Great.
Night Moves is a good one.
Night Moves is a good song, for sure. Way up firm and high. He's talking about boobs. Talking about teenage boobs. You sick fuck. This is exciting because this is a redo, a reinvigoration of my top 10.
This is a reinvigoration. You're right.
An adjustment. I don't remember where this one goes. No one cares anymore. We haven't even been paying attention.
Yeah.
This is on my top 10. My top 10 is 16 movies long.
Yeah.
I think this is like 7 or 8. Is where I'm putting this.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm very fond of this film. It's E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. Keith, this is going to be exciting for you because you just get to talk. Because this movie is perfect. It is a perfect film, and all I can offer is just sitting here and being like, remember this part? It was perfect. Remember this part? It was also perfect. I don't recall exactly how you feel about this movie. I believe we watched it once together in Boston.
We did. That was my first time.
Yeah, I think that's why, because I was like, holy shit, this guy hadn't seen E.T. Little did I know, he's seen nothing.
I've seen none.
But he hadn't seen E.T., so we watched it. And I feel like you're a little lukewarm on it because this is classic Keith. But just, why don't you talk us through? Talk us through your thoughts. You watched it again for time number 2.
Yeah, time number 2. I watched it with a critical eye this time. The first time I watched it just to watch it with a good buddy of mine. And he didn't show up, and then you were there.
Yeah.
And then, so
Jim Shalhoub was busy that day.
Yeah, exactly. so we watched it. I'm gonna start this episode with a super hot, angry take. I went into the film ready to criticize it because why, you may ask at home? Why would I want to criticize such a beloved film? Is because of my sheer disappointment and borderline hatred for Indiana Jones. And Spielberg was on my to get list. I was like, I gotta get this motherfucker.
What is happening?
I watched Indiana Jones recently and I did not like it. New episode alert.
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
The first one, whatever the first one is.
You don't like Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I can go on for days of why I do not like that film. So going back into this, I was like, let me see this bum who I have no respect for. And then
we'll get to that too. I'm with you there.
But then I watched the film and I go, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good film.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I went in ready to hate this film, and I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it, Everett. See the emotional roller coaster I've already put you on? It's fucking great.
I know, I'm so lost. Like, I already am so confused because I just want to talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark now. Not that I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is like the greatest thing since sliced bread, which a lot of people do. I think it's a very good movie. Strange to inspire hate. If you're going to hate Steven Spielberg, I can give you 10 other movies to hate him over.
Hey, you!
The school cut you from the team?
We'll have an episode. We're going to do an episode on it.
Yeah, next week, I think. Yeah. Shit, we might have to go back to back right now.
So, why do you love this movie so much? What's the thing that draws you in the most where you say, this is the undeniable success of this film?
Well, that's everything, but the shortest summation that I can really put to it is I really truly believe, all hyperbole aside, I think that this is the most magical film I've ever seen. I really believe that this movie is the epitome and the embodiment of movie magic. Everything that means, this movie has and does well. So I think this movie is wonderfully scary and wonderfully funny and wonderfully heartbreaking and wonderfully like exhilarating. And it makes you feel all of those things throughout the film, off and on. It's just the perfect balance. It's the epitome of firing on all cylinders. I really can't overstate how great this film is. I mean,
So
I don't know how you could think otherwise. Respectfully, like I really don't
Disrespectfully.
know how you could think otherwise.
So I think it's funny because your answer is everything. I mean, I mean, that's what I hear. You think all of it is great.
Yeah, I've got scenes and I've got things we can get into. Obviously, that's why we're here. But that the magic, the movie magic, is what makes this movie so good.
I'll tell you. Well, you're wrong. Not not surprising. No one's surprised. Here's the hands down the best part of this film is John Williams. He's the best part. His score.
Is it his best score? Is it his best score?
I mean, I haven't listened to all of his scores, but after this watch, I think I can see why he is the greatest, or heralded as one of the greatest ever to do this.
Oh, he's easily the greatest.
I mean, like it's amazing. He brings this film to life. That score to this film is so iconic. I think underrated in terms of film scores. Even if it's 2, it's underrated. Like it's that powerful of a score, in my opinion. Every magical moment that you're talking about is really driven by his score. To me, that's far and away the best part of this film.
Where do we even go?
I keep going. Will you want me to get into more good things, or you want me to get into bad things?
Well, there are no bad things, so I guess we save time there.
Let's get into it.
Okay, we'll come to that. Jesus, Keith, you son of a bitch. Okay, little background here.
Okay.
E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial, directed by Steven Spielberg, as you may have deduced from this conversation so far. Written by Melissa Matheson. I want to give the biggest shout out to Carlo Rambaldi, who was responsible for creating the puppet and creating that amazing piece of animatronic magic. I won't dwell on this because I am the biggest broken record in the world, but Exhibit A, make real shit. Make practical shit. Make things for your actors to interact with. It is memorable. It's so much more effective. And I thought such a small, tiny scene is when Gertie, Drew Barrymore, wonderful, dresses E.T. up in drag, and E.T.'s doing the phone home thing and pulls the wig off, and several strands of the wig's hair sticks to the alien's face. And I just thought, obviously, if this was made today, everything would be CGI, completely 100%, and you wouldn't get any of that real, gritty, dirty magic of just hair sticking to this thing's face, which is a mistake, but is what makes it real and tangible and magical. So, to me, in some ways, I had this thought, like, this is almost like the first really modern film in some ways. Like, it really heralded in the 80s in terms of, like, a style. Because this film does not feel dated to me, which is pretty amazing. Obviously, the specifics are dated, the technology that the people are dealing with, and their pop culture references and all that shit, obviously. But, like, as a film, I think young people today could watch it and be sucked in.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of movies from this time and before would have a harder time with that. And I think there's a ton of reasons for that. Just its overall quality and the magic that I'm going to say magic 500 times in this episode. So magic. I think this movie really was like, oh, we're in the 80s. Now there's a new decade of filmmaking. Now we can do more things. And I think that's was a really big deal.
I do agree with you. I think you're right that it holds up. The style and the direction of the film. I hate to give credit To anyone but myself.
To that hack. To anyone, especially Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, especially that hack. But it's really well directed. There are a lot of things working really, really well to tell this story. And I think all of them are on display in the first 10 minutes of the film. I don't remember, and I wonder how many people at home, or even yourself, realize how many lines of dialogue are in the first 10 minutes of the film. The answer is zero.
Very few, right?
Zero. The answer is zero. There's not one word. There is not one word said in the first 10 minutes of the film. And one, you get everything in terms of story. You know exactly what's going on. You know everything that's happening. And then on top of it, you feel the emotion. You feel scared. You feel nervous. You identify with these creatures in a positive way, but you feel so much with nothing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this before. I feel like this script is 15 pages long. There's very little dialogue in the whole thing. It's just great direction, great cinematography, the best score ever made. You know, it's decent performances, pretty good performances. We can argue about it. Pretty good performances. But just a lot of the technical craft side of things carry this film, and I think that's why it holds up. I think that's why it holds up, because I think today, those are where you cut corners. Those details, that level of nuance, that level of paying attention, it goes by the wayside. Who gives a shit? They won't miss that.
Yeah.
It's like Elf. You seen Elf, where James Caan's like, there's 2 pages missing, and they're like, do you think they're gonna care? Print it. That's exactly what today's filmmaking is like. It feels like, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, this brings us to my other broken record point that anyone that watches any of these shows knows. I'll skip over this quickly. Practical effects, all that stuff, which I mentioned, and then not pandering.
Yes.
You want to talk about not effing pandering.
100%.
This is a kids movie that is the most adult, this is what makes this an all-time film. Because if you're a child and you watch this movie says that everything you believe and everything this child, Henry Thomas, Elliott, is going through is real and is viable and is important, and adults don't understand, and it is consequential. That was always the thing I remember about kids' movies in the 80s, was shit has consequences. The villains are coming after you with guns.
You know what I'm gonna do to you, boy? I'm gonna blow both your kneecaps off.
This is real life shit here.
This is reality, Greg.
And no one understands, and no one believes you, and you have to outsmart the adults.
But not in a slip on a banana peel way.
No, exactly.
Not because
Exactly.
that's what it would be now on the Disney Channel or whatever. It'd just be like, oh, throw oil on the ground and they'll fall down and we get away. That's not this film, and it's great because of that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this movie, I am blown away every time that it transitions to 20 minutes at the end of the second act, beginning of the third, that is intense hospital drama. That shows Elliott on the bed yelling, "You're killing him! You're killing him!" And he's ripping his things off, and E.T.'s dying, and come back. That shit.
Yeah,
That shit is better than any adult film.
Yeah.
Make a good movie first, and then tailor it and put in the parts for the kids, whatever you want. But holy shit, man, there's a reason E.T. is considered one of the greatest films of all time, and for my money, easily the best kids film of all time. I'll say it. I don't give a shit. I'll heap the praise. So and that's because it is serious. It takes its stuff serious while still finding time to be funny, while still finding time be a little silly once in a while.
Yeah.
Don't pander.
Yeah.
Stop pandering. I'm spitting because I'm so fucking fired up.
No, you should. Yeah, you should be throwing up. You shouldn't be spitting. But I hate to agree with you as much as I probably will over the course of this episode. But the best thing you just said, and just dance it out. The best thing you said is make a good film first. I don't know when we lost, and I sound like an old man saying, get off my lawn. But I don't know when that like went away. I was having this conversation today at work. Jeff, my buddy at work, shout out to Jeff, he's great. We're talking today, like, you don't know him. He's a good guy.
I got a bad feeling about Jeff.
He's my buddy at work. We both love films. But we were talking about today. What is this? As he just cracks another. We're getting into it today.
Tell me more about Jeff.
What is the 2008 version, the 2012 version of Goonies, of E.T., of the child adventure that is adult enough for adults and fun enough for kids? Like that genre that Spielberg may have like invented, maybe. Like where is that? Where is that today? Where did those go? Can you name a film? Do they like? And when did they go away? Like why? Why did they go away? Like why do we treat kids with such kid gloves now? Because 12-year-olds, I would say, are probably more advanced than they were.
Yeah, that's funny.
30 years ago, they're doing far more worse things than probably I was doing as a kid. So why are they handled in media with such kid gloves? Like why?
It's a great question. I would love thoughts from the audience, honestly, because I don't know. That's weird because it is like kids they are exposed to so much more at a younger age, but the films are not rising in terms of like challenging them or just being on their level.
Yeah.
It's like any kid that's been on YouTube since they were 7 has seen just about every awful thing in the world, but then it goes to the movie theater to watch a PG movie and it's like, I don't know.
Clowns.
Shitty. I don't know what those movies are either.
Yeah. Could you the only one I could think of is Spy Kids? Like is Spy Kids?
Yeah, I don't know. I never saw Spy Kids.
Me neither, but I was like, I literally was racking my brain trying to think of.
I don't think it exists. I won't go too far down this hole, but that's why I have that story that I developed, The Nerds, which is like literally trying to create a Goonies or, a movie from the 80s that like my childhood memories, E.T., where the consequences were real, the kids were having to fight back, like all that stuff. I don't think that really exists. Spielberg was a master at that. That was like his own little cottage industry for a while.
Yeah.
Because I think that's Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's Jaws to a slightly lesser extent, but that's E.T., that's Jurassic Park. I think Jurassic Park, the first one, falls under that.
Yeah.
But after that, I don't really know. I mean, disaster movies, I guess they're Marvel movies. I feel like that's the dead end that we get to.
It's just Marvel ruined
what
cinema?
What happened to these movies? What happened to big action movies? What happened to movies that kids and adults can go enjoy together? It's all Marvel.
Marvel's fault.
It's all like Disney, Marvel comic book films. Those are okay. Most of those are okay.
Yeah, I enjoy them, but I like cookies, but I can't eat only cookies. Give me something else. I mean, I'm trying, but...
But that was a sad thing. That's a sad thought I had rewatching E.T. just today. I was like, there'll never be a movie like this again.
No.
Unless someone can break through and have a little courage and make something. But I just can't imagine a completely original, although there's accusations of plagiarism, a completely original to the audience story that is a big studio film that takes over the world and is non-pandery and shitty to kids. It just won't happen. Also with no like huge stars, like even at that time.
At that time, yeah.
Dee Wallace and God bless her and Peter Coyote, those are your leads, and then you got 3 basically unknown kids in it. Like that's incredible. It's incredible. It will never happen again unless someone gives me $50 million, and then I will make it happen.
Okay. You can give me, I'll do it for 25.
Yeah, it won't be as good. It's gonna be pandery as fuck.
Hey kids.
Speaking of Dee Wallace, you prick.
Good point.
Well, you were not as willing to heap praise on the performances. So tell me your weakest performance. If you say Elliott,
No.
God damn you.
No. I wouldn't say that. I don't mean to make it sound like I don't think the performances aren't good. I don't think they are great overall. I think the scene that you reference, there's several scenes that are very good. The hospital scene, obviously one that sticks out. And Drew Barrymore is fun throughout.
Excellent. She is excellent throughout. You're nuts.
She's fun. She's fun throughout, and again, she has her moments where she gets sad and emotional. Like it's the credit is showing that much range at such a young age.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah. So, but I don't think they're. I guess what I'm trying to say is not that they're bad, and I don't think that they are buried underneath what I think the A level of success in this film is. If I give their performances a B or a B plus, that's not bad. That's good. But if those other things are not there, this film has a chance of being almost bad. If those other
Well, yeah, if it's not wonderfully directed and wonderfully scored and great special effects with great cinematography,
Right.
it might not be as good.
Right, but that's my point. So when I look at the performances, I go, oh yeah, they were good, but they're muted and masked by the immense talent of everything else around it. So that's why I don't jump over the moon for their performances.
I think that's crazy.
Okay.
I think Henry Thomas, Elliott, and Drew Barrymore, Gertie, are two of the better child performances in anything that come immediately to mind. What else you got, Keith? Tell me, let's get negative before I rebound and I save this thing, carry this thing to the finish line.
I mean, let's call it what it is. The story is not very good. The story of this film is not really that good. Like it's very simple. It's very straightforward. There's not
What's
a lot
wrong with simple and straightforward stories? I don't
it's
understand.
just it doesn't make it. Listen, this is your bias going to come through here, so you just need to take a breath and just listen, and not get all freaked out, and just keep drinking. Just drink the problems away. I think that's.
I've been doing it for years.
But when you think about it, I mean, the film is an alien lands, and then a small boy falls in love with him, with that alien, and then tries to help him get home. That's it. And that's as straightforward as the film is. Like, it's not more complex. It is not more complex than that. Sure, you can boil any film down to a log line or whatever, but usually there's more nuance and more twists and turns or whatever that doesn't fully explain. Like, I've told you the story of E.T. in one sentence, and you have missed nothing.
That's usually the definition, the defining characteristic of a great film. You can describe it in a sentence. That's what people say. That's what all my screenwriting books say.
No,
It's like Home Alone. A kid defends his house from criminals.
Yes, but absolutely, if I told you Home Alone was about a boy defending his house from criminals, you would miss how much of that film. There's so much more to that film than just that. That's just a general concept.
Are you implying that there's not so much more to E.T. than a boy trying to help an alien get home?
Yes, that is it. That is the entire story. That is 100% of the story. And that story isn't even well developed, because I have some questions.
Please.
What? Two major things. What makes E.T. and Elliott connected? Why are they all of a sudden sharing a body and sharing emotions? Why does that happen?
Well, I assume that's part of E.T.'s, skill set. It's E.T.'s, it's something that his race, that his people are capable of. This psychic soul bond.
And what would make you know that, other than you literally guessing?
Well, because that's what happens. He connects with this boy, and it seems very clear that's their.
No, it just happens because it happens. There's nothing to it. It just happens. It just happens.
But don't you often argue against needing to like over-explain everything and like
No.
break down every little thing, or you don't? You're all about the over-explanation.
No, not over-explanation, just an appropriate explanation. That is a very large chunk of the story. That's a very large, impactful point to the story, to not even have a line of dialogue that represents what that is.
Who would have given that dialogue though?
He could just be like, what's happening? Why am I feeling that? I don't know, I'm not writing the story, but just figure it out. Like, there needs to be, that happens just to add dramatic flavor to the film. It just, because then they're dying together. Like, it's only in the film because it helps the film be more dramatic. There's no rhyme or reason as to why that is. And then,
Not true. I think it's part of the deeper theme.
what's the deeper theme? What's the deeper theme?
Of being alone, and that you know, like Spielberg created this story, he says, based on like his childhood imaginary friend, where it's like this is an embodiment, you know, this is a parallel of my own solitude and loneliness and confusion as a child, and so this thing is feeling the feelings that I'm feeling. This thing is mirroring back what I'm going through. He's separated. E.T. is separated from his family. He's lost and alone. Elliott's family is crumbling. He feels lost and alone. He's the middle child. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, there's a deeper thing there. And I also don't know why, like, you watching the film, just these two times, you got what was happening. Right?
I'm not
you
saying...
got that they were psychically connected or whatever.
Yes.
So what else do you need? I don't know why you need
cause. I want cause to why that is. Like in any film. So to liken it to one of our favorite films, Wonder Woman, 1984. So when she can just fly in the middle of the film, or make things go invisible in the middle of the film, and we sit here and both criticize that and say, how can that just happen? What is the difference? On this side of the argument, you're saying, oh, it's fine because you get it. And on that side of the argument, you're like, oh, no, that's terrible.
They establish it in E.T. in the first scene, basically, that they're interacting. E.T. gets tired and Elliott gets tired. And then every scene thereafter, he's hungry, Elliott's hungry. He gets drunk, Elliott gets drunk. Like, it's literally every single scene building slowly, where eventually Elliott's saying, we're going to be all right, until I think we're dying. Like, it's throughout. The Wonder Woman example doesn't work because Wonder Woman is just like, in this scene I can fly, and in this scene I can make the jet invisible, and in this scene, like, it's all over the fucking map.
That's fair.
There's
That's
a
a
much
fair
more
point.
cohesive structure here.
That is a fair point. I apologize for even comparing any film.
It's a dick move, Keith. You can criticize E.T., but the second you compare it to Wonder Woman 84, I mean, what are we doing here?
I know. I flew off the deep end there, and I apologize.
Yeah, right. It's the meanest thing you've ever said about anything.
I didn't mean it. You are correct. I just I got confused. It feels like there was two big parts that I got not confused at, because I understood what was happening. I was just questioning as to why they were happening. One was what I just said. Why are they all of a sudden connected? But you're right. It is throughout the whole thing. Fine. But then how does E.T. live? How does he come back from the dead? Love? Is it the boy's love? He's just alive all of a sudden after he died. Why? It's the crux of the film.
It's a great part. It's a great part of the film.
But why? Like,
who gives a shit? It feels great. No, I don't know. I thought about that a little bit this time. Like what drives that, and I don't know that. I mean, the answer's probably out there, so look it up. You guys do the work.
You do some work for once, guy.
We're just here to pontificate and hear the sounds of our own voices.
Sounds great.
No, I think, like, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's like Sleeping Beauty shit where it's like the kiss from the prince. Like, I don't think it's some love thing like that. I think it could be, all right, whatever, bullshitting. It could be that he was faking it to get them out of there, that E.T. knew what was happening.
That's a stretch.
It is a stretch. I don't really think that's it. I think it's more that, like, because as he was dying, or you know, he's an alien. He can do things that we don't understand. Maybe he like died, but then in that crossover stage, he is made aware that they're coming for him, and that reinvigorates him. Because that's like the first thing they say to each other when he opens it up and he finds out he's still alive.
Does this mean they're coming?
Yes.
So it's got to be something to that, but that's a fair question. I don't think that takes away from anything because it's just so fucking great.
Yeah, it does. But my bigger point is the story is not great. And to me, that's a huge example as to why the story is not great, is because these things I think should be better thought out and they should be better explained, or I should be able, explained, I use that word loosely. I don't mean like, here's what, that's not what I'm...
So Keith needs crystal clear answers here.
No, but I do think...
You want a narrator? Should there have been a narrator?
Yes.
At this point, Elliott and the alien are binded psychologically.
Yes.
The reason is because on E.T.'s home planet...
Yes. Yeah, I want Steven Spielberg himself to whisper the narration.
Picture.
Keith,
Okay, well, at this
is what's happening.
Time,
what's that,
what I
Mr.
was
Spielberg?
thinking- So you just want director's commentary?
What's that? What's that? You think it's good? No, you get out of here.
Oh, Jesus. That makes me think of Cartman and Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just turned into something really awkward and uncomfortable.
Fucking classic. Okay. So, whatever, Keith. You're stupid. All right, I love this movie. It's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Steven Spielberg, clearly responsible for several all-time great films. But let's tear
Name
him
another one.
Let's tear him apart.
Great.
I'll tell you.
I'll start with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's absurd. We're going to do a whole episode. My God. I think he's made 4 great films. All-time great films.
That's enough.
That's phenomenal.
That's enough.
Okay? He's got 4 of the top 50 films of all time.
So
Maybe
can you name E.T. one?
E.T.
Not
is
in
one of
order,
them.
but
Yeah, in no particular order, although E.T. is probably first. E.T. is one, Jaws is another one, Schindler's List is another one, and Saving Private Ryan is another one. I think those are 4 great films. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is very good, and I think Jurassic Park is very good. I don't think those movies are great, all-time great. And I know you guys are going to hate me for that shit because everybody loves, especially Raiders of the Lost Ark. Jurassic Park has some issues. Great time. Those 2 movies, while not perfect, are wonderfully enjoyable. So that's 6. I'm not going to refer to Schindler's List as wonderfully enjoyable.
Yeah,
so you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
yes.
But I don't like that Spielberg is like, that Spielberg is, like, the word Spielberg is used as like a euphemism for a great director. Like, oh, wait, great job, Spielberg. It's like, no, like, there's a lot of...
That's jealousy. You can't, because if you're gonna say, if you're taking your words, 6 pretty much all-time great films, 6 in the top
Jurassic Park's not
100.
all-time great.
Like, where are you putting the other 2? Like, what's the lowest of those other 2? Still in the top 100 for you? I mean, like...
No, there are a couple. They're in the hundreds.
But either way...
But the problem with Spielberg is he's made so many shitty films, too. Like, he's made some average films, Minority Report, a couple others that I think are like, pretty good. These are pretty good movies. But he's also, like, the last 20 years... Fucking Bridge of Spies? That movie sucks. Like he's making West Side Story this year.
Of course
Ready
he is.
Player One. Like, let me tell you something. West Side Story is going to be the worst movie of the year. You can quote this later in the future. This movie's going to be awful. We might do an episode on it, even though I don't want to watch it, just because I want to tear it apart.
We're definitely
but like
doing
Ready
it.
Player One, I mean, he's not,
But no
he
one's...
fell off. You fell off, Steve.
That's ridiculous. Like, no one, Barry Bonds struck out plenty. You know, that doesn't. That,
He did not. that is an inaccurate statement.
he struck out plenty.
He walked and he hit home runs. That's
he
what
did
Barry
two
Bonds
things.
did.
Barry Bonds did two things.
And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 7:56.
Oh, great pitchers, great hitters, great athlete, whatever.
Yeah, but look at Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese's still making relevant, good films.
Sure, but Spielberg isn't?
No. He hasn't made a relevant movie that really made an impact since, I don't know, 2000? I can't tell you which one. He's
But if you look at the
Seabiscuit or Warhorse or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but Michael Jordan can't play in the NBA today, but does that not make him still the greatest player of all time?
No,
Much better than LeBron James?
That's a completely different thing, because athletics, you have a window. Being creative and being an artist, your window is forever.
No, that's
if anything,
not true.
you should almost get better as you get older.
That's not true. That's not true.
What do you think is the craziest scene? What's the weirdest scene to you? Can you think of that? The biggest swing.
Just what do you got? What do you got? Give it to me.
The frog scene. The entire scene of the frog escape and the cut back and forth between E.T. drinking and watching the movies on TV. Like that, I love that scene. Maybe, I don't know. I've got 5 favorite scenes. That might be one. That's one of them for sure. Where he gets drunk and Elliott's falling out of the chair and the pretty girl that he has a little crush on or whatever, and they kiss because the people on the TV kiss, and I just think that scene is really, I don't want to say out of place because again, I love it, but I really feel like I can't imagine writing that scene within this film. Like it feels like kind of
yeah.
It's like this 10-minute scene in the middle of the movie where you're just like, wow, that was kind of its own thing.
It was.
But it's really special and really magical. And I can't, it doesn't make sense in a very literal way, but it's wonderful and it works. And I just feel like that's flexy filmmaking, that you could put that scene in there and not miss a beat.
Yeah, I think the word I was gonna say that scene to retcon this conversation where I sound smart.
That's what I said.
I was gonna say the frog scene, but I just still didn't know where you were going with it, so I didn't know what to say. Regardless, I agree, and I think a big swing is the right way to put it, because that is something. I don't want to say luck, but maybe luck is involved. But that's something that you put out and I don't think is going to work or not. And there's a handful of films that have these type of scenes that don't necessarily fit into what we're doing, but they either become iconic or they become talked about, or a heavy point of the film, a frame of reference in the future, looking back, or they ruin the film, or they're just like, oh, that's stupid. It took me out completely or whatever. And who knows why they work and why they don't to some degree. And this one does. It's a charming, I really like it's so weird. Weird is maybe not the right word. But that he steps on the other kid to kiss
that's what
the
I'm
girl.
saying.
And that kid just stays there. Like it is.
Yeah, it's like he crawls under it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's different. It's like it's a scene from a different movie that just lands in the middle of this one, but it's like perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm really, that's what makes it so perfect. I'm really fascinated by.
It makes me, thinking about it now, it makes me feel like it should be in The Sandlot.
I can't take this no more.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like it should, that scene could be in that, because it's adorable. The little kid kisses his little crush or whatever, and that's like it's a fun moment for kids to identify with and see themselves and be like, oh, I hope to kiss the pretty girl at school one day too.
And the big bully, the heavyset dude, lays down so I can step on his back. Like it's all this stuff.
You took it a little darker than I was taking, and then that bully, you step on his throat,
fucking piss on him while I'm kissing my girlfriend.
Yeah, just
no, that scene really stood out to me as a kid. I first saw this when I was 4 or 5 or whatever. And I had such a big crush on that little girl when I was a child. Her name, the actress, Erika Eleniak. And I was happy to see, I feel like I knew this in some part of my brain, but she grew up to be the young, I forget the character's name, but the young blonde in the Beverly Hillbillies movie with Jim
Really?
Varney. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
So I loved her when I was like 5 in this movie,
And then
I loved her in the Beverly Hillbillies when I was like 12.
Howdy, I'm Ellie Mae. You must be Mr. Drysdale's son.
I would rent the Beverly Hillbillies. It was in my monthly. We went to the video store every weekend. And at least once a month, I would get the Beverly Hillbillies and watch it and had a crush on her. I guess she ended up on Baywatch too. Insert clip. What else, Keith? Oh, you always talk about the texture in films. This movie has smoke in every
scene.
Smoke and mist.
Yeah.
You can't turn around without somebody pumping a smoke machine.
Yeah.
But it works.
And
unless you're looking for it, it's not distracting. It adds so much. The air is heavy. The air is heavy everywhere you go.
I think it's an overlooked part of filmmaking. The texture, for probably lack of a better way of saying it, but the atmosphere that I am in being a tangible thing. Like as the viewer, I'm in this place with my characters, and having some texture to it, I think adds to that emotion that you're trying to build. Everything in your film should be equaling emotion. Every single thing. And I think it's
that's why CGI is awful.
Yeah, it's
because it equals no emotion. Whereas again, I'm coming back. I said I'd talk about it once. I'm bringing it back. Practical effects. Every time I saw E.T.'s slimy hands and his kind of like, that's what's great about it is they're not like, they're kind of creepy. They're kind of gross. He's kind of creepy and gross. He's like sweaty. He's like, he looks very, it's clammy. Clammy is a good word.
Sure.
But like, it's real. It's right there, you heartless prick. How many times did you cry in this movie? How many times?
0.
Leave a comment. How many times did this movie make you cry?
Yeah, I'm dead inside. Because
you don't even tear up?
I was rooting for the alien to die.
You're like pro Peter Coyote, like fucking get that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is with the keychain, but I hope he fucking he cattle prods this thing.
Yeah, because I'm on Team Science. We got to know what we're dealing with because the sequel to this is Independence Day, and this is fucking E.T.'s fault.
Yeah.
Welcome to Earth.
So you really don't get emotional?
Do
any movies get you emotional?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you know the film I cried the hardest at was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That I literally crawled up into a ball and was just weeping. It was a tough time for me at that time in my life.
So it's more about your personal circumstances.
Yeah. It wasn't great, but.
And Up, right? Up gets you?
Oh God, it's the saddest film ever. It's Up. The first 10 minutes, I dare you to watch the first 10 minutes of Up and not want to slit your wrists. Neither here nor there. Love is a lie. It will leave you. Sorry. I'm able to prevent myself from feeling when I'm prepared for it. And I am prepared for it in E.T., therefore I will not allow myself to feel those emotions. But the hospital scene is difficult to watch from a sad standpoint.
Yeah, it is an intense emotional scene. I cry almost throughout. And part of that is that I'm just become a crier as I've gotten older. I won't cry, like, you could tell me all my loved ones are dead, and I'll be like stone-faced, like, oh, well, time to move for the future, time to plan for the future. But like in Dumb and Dumber, I watch a credit card commercial and I start sobbing. Like that's literally how I am now. Is even if it's not sad, even if it's just happy, even if somebody goes like, "I'm proud of you, sport," I'm like, yeah, "You worked so hard." I get really emotional. So this movie, as I've gotten older, I don't remember crying at all when I was a kid. Like I don't remember crying at all. I just remember thinking the movie was fun, which is funny now also looking back. But I cry throughout. And I throughout the second and third act for sad parts and happy parts. I think I don't know. I love so many scenes. I love the pizza party, in the beginning. I think all of that's funny. I love the camaraderie between the boys and the friends. I love that frog scene with the kiss. I think my favorite scene, if you put a gun to my head, is the
And I will.
end bicycle escape. I think as those kids are escaping on the bikes, the 5 of them together, Elliott up front with E.T., that is everything, at least for me, a child wants.
Yeah.
Like that is, you are outsmarting adults, you are taking your bikes where cars cannot go, you are escaping. You know, like my ingenuity and my limitations as a child, which are the bicycles, are actually what empowers me to succeed over you. Your car is the limitation if you bring it onto my turf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that whole scene, and they're splitting up. Let's split up, and they go in different ways. Like I get the chills. My favorite cut, one of my favorite cuts in cinema history, is when D. Wallace is running up to the van, the abandoned van in the park, and all the G-men are surrounding, like, where? And she runs away, and she's looking like, what? Ah! And like comes up in the camera. And the fucking score comes in. John Williams, like,
It's the best part.
like those bells. I'm gonna cry right now. Like I just watched it a little while ago, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I've seen this movie hundreds of times. I'm 37 years old. It came out 40 years ago, and that cut happens, and I go, yeah, fucking go, get away. Like I'm just like, you can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is magic. That is cinema magic.
Yeah. And then when he rides his bike and he flies and
Rides the bike.
like that moment, I get emotional too when you're talking about.
Yeah.
being
As soon as he
emotional.
makes him lift off, I start
Yeah.
crying. It's
That-
like that's the power of like great cinema. Is 40 years later, something you've seen a bunch of times that you know is coming. Even if you haven't seen this movie, you know he's gonna make E.T. fly through the moon, and you that happens, and you're just like, this is magical. Every time I say magical, take a drink. Kevin, you're blacked out by now.
It takes a lot to get him blacked out. So
All right,
magical.
magic.